Lisa woke to soft light and the sound of humming machines. For a moment, she did not know where she was. The ceiling above her was strange, made of material that seemed to pulse with inner life. The air smelled different, clean, and filled with scents she did not recognize. Then the memories came flooding back. The throne room, the assassins, the fight. She tried to sit up, but pain exploded through her chest, and she fell back with a gasp. Immediately, a figure appeared beside her bed. It was Maria, her face streaked with tears that had long since dried. "Easy," Maria said. "You are safe. We are in the Royal Medical Facility. The Velfry doctors have been working on you for 3 days." 3 days. Lisa closed her eyes and tried to process that information. She had been unconscious for 3 days while alien doctors put her back together. The fact that she was alive at all seemed like a miracle. "The others?" Lisa asked. Her voice was rough, barely more than a whisper. "Kevin and Daniel are fine. They have been taking turns sitting with you." Maria managed a weak smile. "Kevin has not slept more than a few hours since the fight. He keeps saying that he should have been the one to invoke the right." Lisa shook her head, then winced at the movement. "He has a family. I made the right call." The door to the medical room opened, and Kevin and Daniel rushed in. Kevin's face was pale and drawn, with dark circles under his eyes. Daniel looked nearly as bad. They stopped at the foot of her bed and just stared at her, as if they could not believe she was really awake. "You look terrible," Lisa said. Kevin let out a laugh that was half sob. "You should see yourself. The doctor said you had 17 separate wounds, 4 cracked ribs, a collapsed lung, and massive blood loss. They said any one of those injuries should have stopped you during the fight. They cannot understand how you kept moving." Lisa thought about that. How had she kept moving? The pain had been unimaginable. Every strike, every block, every breath had been agony. But stopping had never been an option. Stopping meant death, not just for her, but for everyone she was trying to protect. "Humans are stubborn," she said simply. The door opened again, and this time everyone in the room went still. Queen Sithara herself entered, her massive form filling the doorway. She moved with that strange grace Lisa remembered from the throne room, gliding across the floor as if she weighed nothing at all. Maria, Kevin, and Daniel immediately bowed. Lisa tried to rise, but the Queen raised one hand. "Do not move, Commander Brennan. You have earned the right to rest." The Queen came to stand beside her bed. Up close, Lisa could see details she had missed before. The Queen's armor was not just colored differently from other Velfari. It was covered in tiny patterns that shifted and moved, telling stories in a language Lisa did not understand. "I owe you my life," the Queen said. "That is not something I say lightly. In 200 years of rule, no one has ever risked themselves for me as you did. Not even my own people." Lisa met the Queen's compound eyes. "I did not do it just for you, Your Majesty. I did it to protect my people. If you had died and we had been blamed, Earth would have burned. Yes, you acted out of practical necessity as well as honor. That does not diminish what you did. In fact, it makes it more impressive." The Queen paused, her mandibles clicking softly. "General Krefax and his conspirators have been arrested. The evidence of their treachery is undeniable. Many nobles who supported him have withdrawn their allegiance. The threat of civil war has passed, at least for now." Daniel stepped forward cautiously. "What will happen to them, Your Majesty?" "They will be executed. Such is the punishment for treason in the Dominion." The Queen turned back to Lisa. "But that is politics and justice. I came here for another reason." She reached into a fold of her robe and withdrew something small and glittering. It was a medallion of some kind, made of the same living material as the palace walls. When she held it out, Lisa could see that it was shaped like a Velthari warrior in mid-combat, frozen forever in a moment of perfect violence. "This is the Medal of Sithra's honor," the queen said. "It was created by my grandmother 1,000 years ago to recognize extraordinary courage. In all that time, it has been awarded only 37 times. You are the 38th recipient, and the first who is not Velthary." Lisa took the medal with trembling hands. It was warm to the touch, almost alive. "I do not know what to say." "Say nothing. You have already said everything that matters." The queen straightened. "But there is more. The Dominion hereby offers a full alliance with Earth, trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, and technology sharing. Your species has proven itself worthy of standing beside us." Kevin made a choking sound. A full alliance with the Velthary would change everything for humanity. Access to their technology alone would advance Earth by centuries. And mutual defense meant that no one in the galaxy would dare attack human worlds. "Your Majesty," Lisa said slowly, "forgive me, but I must ask. Why? The trade agreement we asked for was already generous. This is far beyond anything we expected or requested." The queen was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was different. Softer somehow, almost thoughtful. "For 200 years, I have ruled this dominion. I have seen wars and peace, expansion and consolidation. I have watched species rise and fall. And in all that time, I have measured the worth of others by Velthary standards, strength, power, longevity. By those standards, humans are nothing. You are small and weak and die so quickly." She leaned down until her face was close to Lisa's. "But yesterday, I learned that I've been measuring the wrong things. You faced 5 of my best warriors alone. You were outmatched in every possible way. And yet, you won. Not through strength or power, but through something else. Something my people have forgotten in our long dominance of the stars." "What is that?" Lisa asked. "The willingness to keep fighting when all hope is lost. The refusal to surrender even when death is certain. The ability to endure pain that would cripple others." The queen straightened again. "My people have become complacent. We have ruled for so long that we have forgotten what it means to struggle. Humans have not forgotten. Perhaps they never will." She moved toward the door, then stopped and looked back. "When you are recovered, Commander Bran, I would like you to return to the Dominion as Earth's ambassador. I find that I have much to learn about your species, and I believe you are the one to teach me." Then she was gone, leaving silence behind. Kevin let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for hours. Did that just happen? Did the Queen of the Velthary Dominion just offer you a permanent ambassadorship? Lisa looked down at the medal in her hands. It glittered in the soft light, alive and beautiful and strange. A week ago, she had been a diplomat hoping for a mired trade agreement. Now, she was the first human to receive the highest honor the Velthary could give. And she had been offered a position that would shape relations between their species for generations, all because she had been too stubborn to let some alien general tell her that humans were not worth fighting for. "I think it did," she said softly. 2 weeks later, Lisa stood on the bridge of the Starbound Hope as it prepared to leave Velthar Prime. She was still healing. Would be healing for months according to the doctors. But she was strong enough to travel, and Earth needed to know what had happened. She looked out at the alien planet one last time. Somewhere down there, Queen Sithara was already implementing the new alliance. Trade routes were being planned. Technology was being prepared for transfer. And the story of what happened in the throne room was spreading across the galaxy. The story of a single human who stood alone against impossible odds and refused to fall. Kevin stepped up beside her. "Ready to go home?" Lisa nodded. Ready. But she knew this was not really an ending. It was a beginning. Humanity had taken its first real step onto the galactic stage. There would be challenges ahead, enemies to face, obstacles to overcome. But after what she had done, after what she had proven, Lisa knew one thing for certain. Whatever the galaxy threw at them, humans would find a way to survive. They would adapt, endure, and keep fighting until the very end, because that was what humans did. The Starbound Hope engaged its faster-than-light drive and leaped toward the stars, carrying its crew home with a message for all of Earth. You are not alone in the universe, and you are not as weak as they think. Blood dripped from Lisa's shoulder and splattered on the polished floor of the throne room. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, each beat sending waves of pain through her tired muscles. The cut was deep, but she could not afford to think about it now. 2 enemies remained, and they were done underestimating her. The wounded assassin circled to her left. His injured arm hung at his side, but his good arm still held a weapon. The healthy assassin moved to her right, forcing Lisa to split her attention between them. It was a classic pincer movement, designed to trap prey between 2 predators. Lisa had to use the same tactic herself many times. She knew its weakness. The healthy assassin attacked first, exactly as she expected. He was trying to drive her toward his wounded partner, boxing her in for the kill. Lisa let him come, waited until his blade was committed to its arc, then stepped inside his reach. Fighting a larger opponent at close range was dangerous. Their strength advantage became even greater when they could use their whole body. But Lisa was not trying to fight him. She was trying to get past him. She ducked under his arm and sprinted toward the nearest pillar that supported the gallery above. The Valkyrie were fast, but they were not built for sudden changes in direction. By the time he turned to follow, Lisa had put the pillar between them. "Coward!" The healthy assassin shouted. "Stand and face me." Lisa did not answer. She was studying the pillar, noting how its surface was covered in decorative carvings. Handholds. Perfect. She jumped and caught a carved figure about 2 meters up, pulling herself higher with strength born of desperation. The assassins rushed toward her, but she was already climbing, moving up the pillar with speed that surprised even herself. The Valkyrie were strong, but they were heavy. Their natural armor added weight that made climbing difficult. The healthy assassin tried to follow her, but his claws could not find purchase on the smooth sections between the carvings. The wounded one did not even try. Lisa reached a narrow ledge where the pillar met the gallery above. She pressed herself against the stone and looked down. The assassins stared up at her with their expressionless compound eyes. "You cannot stay up there forever, human," the healthy one called. "When you come down, we will be waiting." He was right. Lisa could not win by hiding. But she had not climbed up here to hide. She had climbed up here to change the nature of the fight. From this height, she could see the entire throne room. The galleries full of silent nobles. The queen watching from her throne with unreadable interest. Her team standing together near the entrance. Kevin's hand on his weapon, even though using it would mean death for all of them. And below her, 2 assassins who were looking up. Lisa pulled her sidearm and fired. The shots were not aimed at the assassins. She fired at the decorative chains that hung between the pillars, heavy ceremonial objects made of some dark metal. The energy bolts severed the chains, and they fell, crashing down onto the assassins below Dot. The healthy one dodged aside, but the chains caught the wounded one across the back, driving him to the ground. Lisa jumped Dot. It was a drop of nearly 5 meters. A fall like that would break a normal person's legs. But Lisa had trained for drops like this her whole career. She rolled as she hit the ground, letting the impact spread across her whole body rather than concentrating on her feet. She still felt something crack in her ribs. The pain was blinding, but she forced herself to move. The wounded assassin was struggling under the chains. The healthy one was spinning to face her. She had maybe 2 seconds before he reached her. Lisa raised her sidearm and fired her last shots directly into the wounded assassin's head. At this range, even Veltri armor could not stop the concentrated energy. He went still. 4 down. 1 to go. The healthy assassin roared and charged. Lisa tried to dodge, but her injured ribs betrayed her. The movement sent fire through her chest, and she stumbled, losing her balance just as his blade came down. The edge caught her across the back, cutting through her light armor and into the muscle beneath. Lisa screamed and fell, rolling away on instinct alone. The assassin followed, his blade rising for the killing blow. But Lisa had dropped for a reason. On the ground, among the fallen chains, lay the weapon of the assassin she had just killed. Her hand closed around the hilt, and she brought it up, just in time to deflect the strike that would have ended her life. The impact jarred her wounded shoulder and cracked ribs. Stars exploded across her vision. But she held on. She held on because she had no other choice. The assassin stood over her, pressing down with all his weight. Lisa was on her back, both hands on the blade above her, the only thing keeping his weapon from her throat. He was so much stronger. She could feel her arm shaking, feel her grip starting to slip. "You fought well," the assassin said. His voice was almost respectful. "Better than any creature I have faced. But this is the end. You cannot beat me. You are only human." Lisa looked up at him through eyes blurred with pain and sweat. Only human. Those words had followed her species since they first reached the stars. You are only human. You are weak. You are fragile. You will break. But humans had never broken. They had faced everything the universe threw at them and kept going. They had climbed out of their caves and spread across their world. They had survived ice ages and plagues and wars. They had reached for the stars, even when every odds said they would fail. And Lisa Brennan had not come this far to die on her back in an alien throne room dot. She stopped trying to push the blade away. Instead, she pulled. The move caught the assassin completely off guard. His own strength, pushing against nothing, threw him off balance. He stumbled forward, and Lisa rolled aside, letting his blade drive into the floor where her chest had been a moment before. Before he could recover, Lisa was on her feet. Her entire body screamed in protest, but she ignored it. She had maybe 10 seconds of useful fight left in her before her injuries took her down. She had to make them count. The assassin pulled his blade from the floor and turned to face her. But Lisa was already moving, not away from him but toward him. She came in low, under his natural guard, and drove her captured blade upward with every last bit of strength she had. The weapon found the gap under his chin, one of the few places where Veltri had no armor. The blade sank deep and the assassin made a wet, gurgling sound. His body spasmed once, twice, then went still. Lisa stood there for a long moment, her hands still on the blade, her body swaying. The throne room was absolutely silent. Thousands of Veltri stared at the small human woman who had just killed 5 of their finest warriors. Then Lisa's legs gave out and she collapsed. She lay on the floor of the throne room, staring up at the distant ceiling. Blood pooled beneath her from wounds she could no longer count. Her ribs ground against each other with every breath. She could feel consciousness slipping away, darkness creeping in at the edges of her vision. But she was smiling. She had done it. Against all odds, against every expectation, she had won. The assassins were dead and the truth was exposed. Whatever happened now, Earth was safe. Her people would live. The last thing she saw before the darkness took her was Kevin's face above her, his mouth moving in words she could not hear. Then there was nothing. The ancient words hung in the air like thunder. For a single heartbeat, nothing moved. Then every Veltri in the throne room began shouting at once. The noise was deafening, a storm of clicking mandibles and shrieking voices that shook the very walls. General Krethax pushed through the crowd of nobles, his massive form trembling with rage. This is an outrage. A human cannot invoke the sacred rites. She has no right. But Queen Sithara raised one elegant arm, and silence fell instantly. Her compound eyes studied Lisa with new interest, and when she spoke, her voice carried to every corner of the vast room. The right of single combat challenge was established in the First Age. Before the Dominion existed, before our people spread to the stars. The law does not say that only Velthari may invoke it. The law says any who witness a threat to a person of high rank may speak the words. Quethak stepped forward. My queen, this is clearly a trick. The humans are trying to create chaos, to distract us while they carry out some plot of their own. Is that so? The queen's voice was cold. Then explain to me, General, why 5 of your personal guards have moved from their assigned positions and now stand between me and the royal exit. Explain why they carry weapons that are not standard issue for palace duty. Explain why they are even now looking at each other with fear in their eyes. The 5 assassins had frozen in place. The right had been invoked, and every Velthari in the room knew what that meant. By laws older than their civilization, they could not continue their attack while the challenge stood. But they could not retreat either. To do so would be to admit their guilt before the entire court. Quethax's mandibles clicked rapidly. Those guards are simply performing their duty. The human woman is lying. Queen Sithara slowly rose from her throne. The movement sent ripples of shock through the galleries. The queen had not left her seat during a public audience in decades. She descended the steps of her platform and walked toward Lisa. Her guards parting before her like water dot, she stopped directly in front of the human commander. Lisa had to tilt her head back to look into the queen's face. Up close, the Velthari ruler was terrifying and beautiful, a creature of such power that Lisa felt like an insect standing before a god. You believe there is a threat to my life, the queen said. It was not a question. I know there is, your majesty. Those 5 guards are assassins sent by General Quethax. They plan to kill you and blame my people for the crime. Your death would give him the war he wants. The galleries erupted again. Nobles shouted accusations and denials. Quethax bellowed that Lisa was a liar and a spy. But the queen simply raised her hand and silence fell once more. The right has been invoked. By our most sacred law, all must stand aside while the challenger faces the threat alone. She turned to address the entire room. Guards, withdraw from the central floor. Nobles, remain in your places. Let no one interfere with what is to come. The regular guards obeyed immediately, pulling back to the walls and leaving a wide empty space in the center of the throne room. The 5 assassins remained where they were, trapped by law and circumstance. Queen Sithara returned to her throne and sat down. Human, you have invoked the ancient right. If you speak truth, then defend me and prove it. If you speak lies, then you will die for your deception. Either way, we shall know the truth before this day ends. Lisa turned to face the 5 assassins. They had dropped all pretense now. Their weapons were drawn, curved blades that hummed with deadly energy. They spread out in a semicircle, surrounding her with practiced precision. Kevin stepped forward. Lisa, you do not have to do this alone. Let me help. You cannot, Maria said, her voice breaking. The right forbids it. If anyone interferes, the challenge is void, and we all die. Lisa drew her sidearm and combat knife. She looked back at her team one last time. Get to the ship if this goes wrong. Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them we tried. Then she turned to face her enemies. The lead assassin was the largest of the 5. He stepped forward and made a sound that might have been laughter. Little human, do you know what you have done? You have sealed your own death. We are Velthari warriors. We have killed creatures 10 times your size. You are nothing. Lisa said nothing. She was watching his body, reading the tension in his limbs, calculating distance and angle. She had fought many opponents in her life. Each one had weaknesses if you knew how to look. "Before we kill you," the assassin continued, "I want you to understand something. Your death means nothing. After you fall, we will complete our mission. The queen will die and your people will be blamed. Your entire species will be wiped from the galaxy. Every man, woman, and child on your world will burn. And it will be because of you." Still, Lisa did not respond. She was breathing slowly, deeply, entering the mental state that had kept her alive through a dozen battles. Fear was there. She could feel it pressing against the edges of her mind. But she pushed it down, locked it away. Fear was useful only when the fighting was over. The assassin grew tired of waiting. He raised his blade and charged. Lisa moved. She did not try to meet his strength with strength. That would be suicide. Instead, she sidestepped at the last possible moment, using her smaller size to slip under his swing. Her knife flashed out, finding the gap between his arm armor and body armor, sliding deep into the joint. The Valkyrie screamed and stumbled. Lisa was already spinning away, firing 2 shots from her sidearm into the face of the second assassin who had tried to flank her. The energy bolts found his eyes, the only part of a Valkyrie that was not protected by natural armor. He went down thrashing, and Lisa kept moving. The remaining 3 assassins attacked together. Learning from their comrades' mistakes, Lisa threw herself into a roll, feeling the wind of their blades passing over her back. She came up firing, forcing them to scatter, buying herself precious seconds. Her knife was still in the first assassin's arm. She needed a new weapon. Her eyes found a fallen blade from the second assassin and she dove for it, snatching it up just in time to block a strike that would have taken her head off. The impact nearly broke her arms. Valkyrie weapons were heavy, designed for creatures with twice her strength. But Lisa had trained with weighted weapons her entire career. She gritted her teeth and pushed back, using the blade to redirect her opponent's force rather than trying to match it. Another assassin came at her from behind. Lisa dropped flat, letting his strike pass over her, and swept his legs with a kick that would have done nothing against his armored shins. But she was not aiming for his shins. She was aiming for the back of his knee, the one spot where Valkyrie leg armor was thin. He buckled and fell, and Lisa drove the captured blade through the gap in his throat armor. 3 down. 2 to go, but her luck was running out. The first assassin had pulled her knife from his arm and was back in the fight, wounded, but still deadly. He and the remaining healthy assassin moved to opposite sides, trapping her between them. Lisa was bleeding from a cut on her shoulder where one of them had gotten lucky. Her arms burned from blocking strikes meant for creatures far stronger than her. Her sidearm had only a few shots left. In the galleries, the Valkyrie watched in stunned silence. They had expected the human to die in seconds. Instead, she had killed 3 of their finest warriors and stood ready to face 2 more. It was impossible. It was unthinkable. And yet it was happening. Lisa raised her borrowed blade and waited. The assassins circled her slowly, looking for an opening. They were not laughing anymore. The night passed slowly in the alien tower. Lisa did not sleep. She sat by the window and watched the strange lights of the Valkyrie city flicker in the darkness below. Somewhere out there, General Krethax was preparing his assassins. Somewhere out there, the fate of 2 species hung in the balance. Kevin sat across from her, cleaning his sidearm. It was a nervous habit from their military days. "You know this is probably suicide, right?" Lisa nodded. "Probably, and you want to do it anyway." "I do not want to do it. I have to do it." She turned to face him. "If we run, Krethax kills the queen and blames us. Earth burns. If we try to warn the queen directly, Krethax finds out and kills us before we ever reach her. His spies are everywhere. Maria looked up from her datapad. She had been reading everything Desik had given them about Velthari law and customs. There might be another way, but it is dangerous. More dangerous than what we are already facing? Daniel asked. Maria set down the pad. The Velthari have ancient laws, older than the Dominion itself. One of them is called the right of single combat challenge. If an outsider witnesses a threat to a Velthari of high rank, they can invoke this right to defend that person personally. Kevin leaned forward. What does that mean exactly? It means that if Lisa invokes this right in the throne room, everyone, guards, nobles, even the assassins, must stand aside by sacred law. The challenger faces the threat alone, with no interference from anyone. Daniel shook his head. That is insane. Lisa would be alone against trained Velthari warriors. Yes, Maria said quietly, but it would also expose the assassination plot in front of the entire court. Krethax could not hide what he was doing. The queen would see her own generals trying to kill her. Lisa stood and walked to the center of the room. Her mind was racing through possibilities, calculating odds, remembering her training. She had been a soldier for 15 years before becoming a diplomat. She had fought in 3 different conflicts and survived wounds that should have killed her. But fighting Velthari warriors was something else entirely. How many assassins? She asked. Desik had told them the details before leaving. 5, all from Krethax's personal guard. The best fighters in his command. 5 Velthari warriors. Each one was stronger than any human, covered in natural armor, armed with claws that could cut through metal. Lisa had a sidearm with limited ammunition and a combat knife. The math was not good, but the math had never been good for humanity. When the first alien ships appeared in Earth's sky 30 years ago, humans had nothing but primitive rockets and nuclear weapons. They had no faster-than-light travel, no energy shields, no knowledge of the galaxy's politics. And yet, humanity had survived. They had learned, adapted, and found their place among the stars. Tell me everything about how Velthari fight, Lisa said to Daniel. They spent the rest of the night preparing. Daniel explained that Velthari warriors relied on their natural advantages, strength, armor, and reach. They fought in direct combat, using their superior bodies to overwhelm opponents. They did not expect enemies to run, hide, or use the environment. Why would they? Nothing in the galaxy could match them physically. But humans had never been the strongest or fastest creatures, even on their own planet. They had survived by being clever, by using tools, by refusing to give up when all hope seemed lost. Those were the advantages Lisa would have to use. Maria taught her the exact words of the rite of single combat challenge in the Velthari language. The pronunciation had to be perfect, or the rite would not be recognized. Lisa practiced again and again until the alien words felt natural on her tongue. Kevin checked her equipment. Her sidearm was fully charged, and she had 2 extra power cells. Her combat knife was sharp and balanced. She wore light armor under her diplomatic uniform. Not enough to stop a Velthari claw, but enough to maybe turn a glancing blow. You know, Kevin said as he finished his inspection, I could invoke this right instead. You are the commander. You should not be the one risking your life. Lisa put her hand on his shoulder. You have a wife and 2 children waiting for you back on Earth. I have no one. Besides, I am the better fighter, and we both know it. Kevin wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. Lisa had always been the best combat officer in their unit. She had a gift for staying calm under pressure and finding solutions when none seemed to exist. The morning came too quickly. The team dressed in their formal diplomatic attire and waited for the Velthari escort. When the guards arrived, Lisa studied them carefully. Were any of them assassins? She could not tell. Velthari faces showed no emotion that humans could read. The walk to the palace took 20 minutes through crowded streets. Valtteri citizens stopped to stare at the small group of humans. Some made clicking sounds that might have been mockery. Others simply watched with cold compound eyes. Lisa kept her head high and her pace steady. The royal palace was the largest building Lisa had ever seen. It rose from the center of the city like a mountain made of dark stone and living material. The walls seemed to pulse with a faint inner light, and strange plants grew from every surface. This was the heart of the Valtteri Dominion, the seat of power for an empire that had existed longer than human civilization. They passed through gate after gate, each one guarded by warriors in ceremonial armor. The security was intense, but Lisa knew it would not matter. The assassins were already inside, disguised as regular guards, waiting for their moment. Finally, they reached the throne room. The doors were 10 meters tall and covered in carvings that showed the history of the Valtteri people. Great battles, conquered worlds, and at the center, the image of a queen ruling over all. The door swung open, and Lisa stepped inside, thought the throne room was vast beyond imagination. The ceiling disappeared into darkness high above. Thousands of Valtteri filled the galleries on either side, nobles from every great house wearing their colors and crests. Guards lined the walls in perfect rows, their weapons ready. And at the far end of the room, raised on a platform of living organic matter, sat Queen Sithara. The queen was unlike any Valtteri Lisa had seen. She was larger, more elegant, with armor that shimmered in colors that had no name in human language. Her compound eyes seemed to see everything at once, and when she moved, it was with a grace that spoke of absolute power and confidence. Lisa and her team walked forward through the center of the room. Every eye watched them. Every mandible clicked with whispered conversation. The humans were small and fragile in this place of giants, but Lisa did not let her fear show. They stopped at the proper distance from the throne and bowed as Maria had taught them. Queen Sithara regarded them for a long moment before speaking. "So these are the humans who wish to trade with the Dominion. You are even smaller than the report suggested." Laughter rippled through the galleries. Lisa straightened and began her diplomatic speech. She spoke of friendship between species, of mutual benefit, of peace and prosperity. But even as her mouth formed the words, her eyes were scanning the room. There, 5 guards who stood slightly apart from the others. 5 guards whose body language was different, tense and ready. 5 guards who were slowly, carefully moving into position around the throne. The moment was coming. Lisa kept talking, kept watching. Her hand drifted casually toward her sidearm. Kevin noticed and tensed. Maria and Daniel exchanged worried glances. Then the lead assassin raised his hand in a subtle signal, and the 5 began to move toward the queen. Lisa stepped forward and spoke the ancient words in perfect. "Valtteri, I invoke the right of single combat challenge. I stand as defender against those who threaten the sacred person of the queen." The throne room exploded into chaos. The ship came out of faster than light travel with a gentle shudder that Lisa Brennan barely felt anymore. She had made dozens of these jumps in her career, first as a soldier and now as a diplomat. But this jump was different. This time, she was leading humanity's most important mission since first contact with alien life. 30 years ago, she stood on the bridge of the Starbound Hope and looked through the main viewing window. The planet below them was massive, nearly 3 times the size of Earth, covered in swirling purple clouds and vast oceans of deep blue. This was Valtteri Prime, the throne world of the Valtteri Dominion, an empire that controlled 40 star systems and commanded millions of warriors. Kevin Park stepped up beside her. He was her security chief, a quiet man with sharp eyes who had served with her back in the military days. He looked at the planet and let out a slow breath. "That is a lot of ships down there," he said. Lisa nodded. The orbital defense platforms and warships surrounding Valtteri Prime outnumbered anything humanity could put together. Earth had been traveling among the stars for only 80 years. The Velthari had been doing it for thousands. If this mission failed, if war came between the two species, humanity would not survive. "Let us hope we never have to fight them," Lisa said. The communication console beeped and Maria Santos, the team's linguist, looked up from her station. Maria was young but brilliant, one of the few humans who had mastered the clicking and whistling sounds of the Velthari language. "They are hailing us, Commander. The Velthari Orbital Command wants to know our business." Lisa straightened her uniform. "Tell them we are the diplomatic delegation from Earth, here at the invitation of Queen Sithara herself." Maria translated the message and sent it. A few tense moments passed before the reply came. The Velthari voice was cold and sharp, like metal scraping against stone. "You are cleared to land at the Royal Receiving Platform. Do not deviate from the assigned flight path. Any violation will result in immediate destruction." Lisa thanked them and cut the connection. She turned to face her small team. Besides Kevin and Maria, there was Daniel Webb, the cultural advisor who had spent years studying Velthari society from the few records humanity had gathered. 4 humans to represent all of Earth. "Remember," Lisa said, "we are guests here. The Velthari do not think much of us. They see humans as weak and short-lived. Our job is to change their minds, or at least convince them that we are worth trading with." Daniel pushed his glasses up his nose. "The Velthari respect strength above all else. Physical strength, military strength, the strength of will. We have none of those things in their eyes. Then we will have to show them a different kind of strength." Lisa replied. The landing was smooth and the doors of the Starbound Hope opened to reveal a world unlike anything on Earth. The air was thick and warm, carrying strange scents that made Lisa's nose twitch. The sky above was a pale orange color, and the buildings around them rose hundreds of meters into the air, made of some dark material that seemed to absorb light. But it was not the buildings that made Lisa's heart beat faster. It was the welcoming party. Dozens of Velthari warriors stood in perfect formation on the landing platform. They were insectoid creatures, standing over 2 meters tall, with 4 arms ending in sharp claws. Their bodies were covered in natural armor, dark and shiny like polished stone. Their faces had no expression that humans could read, just large compound eyes and mandibles that clicked constantly. A single Velthari stepped forward. This one wore decorative markings on its armor, showing high rank. "I am Overseer Kralith. You will follow me. The Queen has agreed to hear your petition in 3 days. Until then, you will be given quarters and allowed to observe our civilization." Lisa bowed her head slightly. "We thank Queen Sithara for her generous welcome." Kralith made a sound that might have been laughter. "Do not mistake tolerance for welcome, human. You are here because the Queen is curious, nothing more. Your species is young and weak. You have nothing we want and nothing we fear. Remember your place." Kevin's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Lisa kept her face calm and followed as Kralith led them through the massive city. Everywhere they looked, they saw Velthari going about their lives. Workers carried heavy loads without effort. Children, if they could be called that, trained in combat exercises that would kill a human child. Soldiers marched in endless columns, their footsteps shaking the ground. The message was clear. The Velthari were powerful beyond measure. Humanity was nothing to them. Their quarters were in a tall tower near the royal palace. The rooms were large, but clearly not designed for human comfort. The furniture was too tall, the lighting too dim, and the beds were more like shelves cut into the walls. But Lisa did not complain. She gathered her team in the main room and spoke quietly. "We have 3 days to learn everything we can about Velthari society. Maria, keep building relationships with any Velthari willing to talk. Daniel, observe everything, especially the political structures. Kevin, I want to know the security arrangements in the palace. Kevin frowned. You expecting trouble? Lisa looked out the window at the alien city spread below them. I am always expecting trouble. Something feels wrong here. Did you see the way some of the nobles looked at us during the walk through the city? They were not just curious. They were angry. Daniel nodded slowly. There have been rumors that not all Velthari support the Queen's policy of isolation. Some want expansion through conquest. War, Maria said softly. They want war. Lisa turned back to her team. We need to understand the politics here. If there is a faction pushing for war, they might see us as the perfect excuse to start one. 4 helpless humans would be easy targets. Over the next 2 days, the team worked to learn everything they could. Maria found a young Velthari scholar named Desik who was fascinated by human culture. Through Desik, they learned about the deep divisions in Velthari society. Queen Sithara had ruled for over 200 years and brought peace to the Dominion. But peace had made some powerful Velthari restless. General Krethax was the leader of the military faction. He believed the Velthari had grown weak under the Queen's rule. He wanted conquest, expansion, and the glory of war. And he had many supporters among the noble houses. On the evening of the 2nd day, Desik came to their quarters in secret. The young scholar was trembling, a sign of extreme distress in Velthari. You must leave, Desik said. Tonight, before it is too late. Lisa stepped forward. What have you learned? Desik looked around fearfully. General Krethax plans to kill the Queen during your audience tomorrow. His assassins will strike, and when the Queen is dead, Krethax will blame you. He will say the humans murdered our beloved ruler. The war he wants will begin, and your planet will burn. The room fell silent. Lisa looked at her small team, 4 humans against an empire. Running would not save Earth. Warning the Queen would not work because why would she believe aliens over her own generals? There had to be another way. Lisa Brennan had faced impossible situations before. She had survived battles that should have killed her. She had buried friends and kept fighting. And she was not about to let some alien general use her people as an excuse for genocide. We are not leaving, she said quietly. We are going to stop this.